From today, the four of us will live together. My son, Ben says, with laughing. Let us in quickly, and I want dinner ready too. Order some fancy restaurant for delivery. Ben makes demand after demand over the phone. I'm completely astounded by his selfishness. That's impossible. I'm still in the middle of sorting things out at the new house. What? A new house? Ben's voice was filled with confusion. From behind, I can hear his wife Kate's voice, furious. You can't always have things your way. I am Nancy, a 56-year-old homemaker. I've been married to Ken for 30 years. We met at work and got engaged about a year after we started dating. I will always make you happy. So, please marry me. His sincere words meant the world to me. 30 years into our marriage, Ken still makes me happy. I'm truly glad to have married him. About a year after our wedding, I got pregnant. It was unexpected but a joyful surprise for us both, who had been hoping for a child. We named our son Ben. He was adorable, and we cherished and raised him with all our hearts. As he grew and started to speak, our days became even more joyful. Time flew by, and Ben soon became an elementary school student. We hoped he would make many friends and excel in his studies. However, once he started school, he began causing trouble. He was always lively and mischievous, but his behavior seemed out of control in school. He disrupted classes and made his classmates cry because of his selfishness. Every time the school called, I apologized and we scolded Ben, but he didn't understand why his actions were wrong and felt it was unfair. Our scolding had no effect. Ken and I were perplexed by his behavior. Ben struggled with studies and concentration, and his teachers often pointed out his poor grades. We worried about our parenting and tried various approaches, like tutoring and private lessons, but his grades didn't improve. In middle school, the problems still persisted. He often disrupted classes and once even injured another child, prompting us to apologize to the child's family. Ben was clearly seen as a problematic student at school. When I attended open school or conferences, other parents hardly spoke to me, and I struggled to make friends. Despite these circumstances, Ben managed to advance to high school. Ken and I hoped he would graduate successfully. We allowed Ben to take up a part-time job on the condition that he would continue his studies diligently for graduation. Since he quickly spent his allowance, we gave him a modest amount. Earning his own money seemed to make him very happy. Ben worked almost daily at his part-time job and earned a considerable sum despite being a high school student. Moreover, he kept his promise not to neglect his studies, working hard even in subjects he found challenging. As a result, we no longer received any calls from his school about him. Ken and I were astonished at this change in Ben. However, Ben spent all his earnings and had no savings. He purchased numerous luxury items, and his wallets and bags were more expensive than mine, which really surprised me. Eventually, Ben graduated from high school, a feat that seemed miraculous. Moreover, he was offered a full-time position at the grocery store where he had worked for 3 years. His securing a job was a great relief for us as his parents. When Ben got the job, he decided to move out. He wanted to be independent and live freely. While I felt a bit sad about his leaving, considering the effort we had put into raising him, I also recognized that he was now a grown man. Seeing him work hard was a good thing, I believed. After Ben moved out, he rarely returned home. We had hoped he would come back at least for the Christmas holidays, but he didn't return during his first year away. He probably wanted to enjoy living alone. Although it was disappointing, Ken and I understood and didn't say anything. We thought that in the future, we would probably celebrate Shiras Maz just the two of us, and so we spent the holidays together. However, there were no signs of Ben returning. He didn't come home during the Parsable summer vacation or at any other time, and there was no contact from him. We hoped he would return for the next New Year's holiday, but again, he didn't. Worried about whether he was safe, we started to get anxious and tried to contact him. Unfortunately, he didn't respond to our calls. After persistent attempts, he finally answered. "What? You're being annoying. What do you want?" Ben responded irritably. "I'm relieved. We were worried about you. You haven't come home or contacted us since you left. We were worried about your safety. What? You're calling me repeatedly for that? It's not just that. We were really worried. Annoying. I'm drinking with friends right now. Don't bother me. Sorry. But can you come home at least once a year? We are worried about you. Fine, I get it. I'm hanging up now. Ben said this and quickly ended the call. Whether he doesn't understand parents' worries or he's just self-centered, I wasn't sure. But I was relieved to know he was doing well. That was a small comfort. However, Ben rarely returned home after that. We had nearly given up hope. Then, about 5 years after he started living alone, Ben suddenly visited our house. Mom, Dad, it's been a while, Ben greeted us. Ben, you're here so suddenly. Is something wrong? I asked, surprised by his unexpected return. Something wrong? Didn't Mom tell me to come back? That's true, but you could have at least informed us beforehand. Oh, sorry, but you're happy to see me, right? Yes, of course. Were you well? You haven't contacted us at all. Okay, Dad, no lectures, please. I've been fine. I came today because I have something important to discuss. Something important. Actually, I'm getting married. What? Married? We were shocked by his sudden announcement. That's quite sudden. Relax. I'll bring my fiancée next week. Can you meet her? Of course. But getting married so soon. You're only 23, right? People get married at this age all the time. That's true, but just when I thought Ben's sudden visit was surprising enough, he dropped this unbelievable news. We were almost heart-stopped with shock. As promised, a week later, Ben brought his fiancée to our house. Hello, I am Kat. Eben's fiancée was flashy and fit the image of a modern young woman. She was 21, 2 years younger than Ben. They met at the grocery store and decided to get married. Are you sure it's okay to get married so young? I thought 21 was a bit early for marriage. To my question, Kate revealed something shocking. Actually, I'm pregnant. That's why we have to get married. What? Pregnant? We were surprised by yet another sudden revelation. Oh, didn't I mention it? We haven't heard anything about it. Ben seemed to have forgotten to mention such an important matter, leaving us utterly astounded. So, you're getting married because of the pregnancy? Exactly. We plan to have the wedding before Kate's belly becomes noticeable. The conversation moved quickly, and we struggled to keep up. Then Ben made a request. Actually, we need to pay a deposit for the wedding venue soon, and we're a bit short. Can you guys cover it? What? We were speechless. After all of the sudden news, now he was asking for financial help. We can't just come up with money like that on short notice. Well, we're in trouble too. We've already invited friends to the wedding. That's putting the cart before the horse. Ben and Kate looked visibly upset. I didn't think my parents would be so heartless. You're okay with us being sad because we can't have our wedding. That's not what we mean. Then, as parents, shouldn't you at least cover the wedding expenses? Ben's words were echoed by Kate. Though it seemed unreasonable, we didn't want to ruin their important wedding. Reluctantly, we decided to prepay the wedding expenses. Paying $13,000 so suddenly was exhausting, both mentally and physically. Still, seeing Ben and his fiancée happy, we accepted the situation. The meeting with both families went well, and Ben's wedding was held successfully. It was a beautiful ceremony, and we were relieved. After Kate gave birth, a new problem arose. The couple wouldn't let us see our grandchild Mike. When we tried to visit the hospital, Ben told us to wait because Kate is tired. It seemed reasonable to avoid stressing her right after childbirth. We had waited for several months, but Ben never initiated contact. When we reached out, we were repeatedly told that it still wasn't a good time to meet. We felt uncomfortable with Ben and Kate, as they didn't let us meet our grandchild, but didn't forget to remind us about the birth celebration gift. They never visited us, and their home address was kept unknown to us. It was only after a year, during the Christmas holidays, we finally could meet Mike. They visited our house briefly, just for a short talk at the front door, and we got to hold Mike only once. For that brief interaction, they demanded $200 for a Christmas gift. Afterward, as expected, Ben and his family disappeared again. 4 years passed quickly, and one day, Ken and I learned something astonishing. Ben's family suddenly visited our house. To our surprise, Ben and Kate had another child. He was now 3 years old, and the older one, now 5, had grown so much that we might not recognize him on the street. "Why are you here today?" I couldn't truly rejoice at seeing the grandchildren's faces, given without asking in advance. After cutting off ties with us, what could their purpose be? I suspected it wasn't good news. Then the couple made a shocking statement. "We're planning to move in here," Ben announced. "Are you serious? You mean to live together?" "Yes, I thought Mom and Dad would be happy. You can be with your grandchildren and me every day." "Why suddenly?" When I asked, Ben answered proudly, "We won't have to pay rent, and Mom and Dad can help with the kids." I realized their motive. We hadn't seen our grandchildren for 4 years. "It's the same whether we see them now or not," Ken agreed. "Exactly. We've been blatantly ignored. It's unfair to be relied upon only when you want." Ben got furious at our response. "What are you saying? I'm offering to live together. I was even thinking about taking care of you in your future. Anyway, moving in is done deal." He ranted and then left with his family. It was hopeless. Our son had grown up to be this way, and we had some responsibility for it. But Ben was an adult now with his own family, and further intervention from us was unnecessary. We firmly decided not to live with our son's family. However, Ben and Kate seemed serious about moving in. A few days later, we were stunned to see many cardboard boxes delivered to our house, sent by Ben. It appeared they were determined to move in by force. The boxes had arrived, but Ben's family hadn't yet. They were probably planning to come on a different day. Ken and I acted immediately. We changed the keys of our house and contacted a moving company. We owned a condo bought as an investment, and we decided to move there. Luckily, the movers were available the next morning, so we could quickly arrange the move. We transported some items ourselves and left the larger furniture and appliances to the professionals. Afterward, we went to a real estate agent to start the process of selling our house. We were determined not to let Ben and Kate have their way. The next morning, the movers arrived, and the work was completed swiftly. Ben's family hadn't shown up yet. It seemed we had made it in time. After settling into our new home, we celebrated each other's swift actions. The next afternoon, Ben called me. "Hello, is something wrong?" "No, the question is what happened at your end." Ben began, half laughing. "The day before yesterday, we received a lot of boxes. We just got back from a trip. We're coming over now. From today, the 4 of us will live together." He hung up without waiting for a response. After the call, Ken and I weren't concerned. We began unpacking our boxes in our new home. An hour later, Ben called again. "What's going on? Why are our boxes outside? The key doesn't work. I've been ringing the doorbell. Let us in quickly and prepare dinner or order some fancy restaurant for delivery." Ben's selfish demands astounded us. "It's impossible. We're busy unpacking at our new house." "New house?" Ben sounded confused. "That's right. We decided not to live with you, remember? Despite that, you forcefully sent your belongings. We chose to avoid you by moving." "Move? You couldn't have found a place so quickly. We have another property." "I didn't know that. If we had told you, you would have insisted on living together. We have our plans for emergencies." Ben sounded disappointed and speechless. Kate was shouting in the background. "That house is already sold, so it's pointless to try and live there. You can't always have things your way." I hung up and set Ben's contact to be blocked on my phone. It seems our warnings didn't reach Ben. He and his family broke a window to enter the house and started living there, bringing in their belongings. Naturally, they were promptly reported to the real estate agency and were arrested. During his arrest, Ben resisted the police officers, shouting, "This is my childhood home. What's wrong with staying here?" He was subdued and taken to the police station. The commotion was witnessed by neighbors and passersby, some of whom recorded it and posted it on social media, spreading the news even to his workplace. As a result, Ben was immediately fired. After his arrest and the loss of his job, I heard that he divorced Kate. The grandchildren were taken by Kate and are being raised at her parents' home. Her parents were furious about the incident and have been making Kate work all day, managing her salary to save for the children's education. I don't know what Ben is doing now, but Ken and I believe we have done enough for him. We decided not to worry about his future anymore. From now on, we intend to live happily together, just the two of us.